Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Elder Scrolls Online video with me, Sherman. Sorry I've been away for a while, guys, but I do want to talk about some things here, and to me, I feel it's important that we discuss the game, but we also discuss the influences of Elder Scrolls and where a lot of these influences come from. Here recently, I've been playing a lot of other MMOs, just basically going back to my roots, looking at the industry as a whole, looking at where the games have come from to where they are now, and still to this day, why I feel that ESO is the top MMO on the market. So what have I been playing? Well, I've been playing a little bit of Return to Reckoning. If you guys don't know what that is a Warhammer Online private server. I've been playing on that. It is legitimate. I can play there. I can talk about it, so that's cool. But the thing that's really interesting is it's a game that was made by Mythic Entertainment. And if you guys don't know who Mythic Entertainment is, the lead of ESO, or a Bethesda, ZeniMax, I don't know anymore, is Matt Furrer. Matt Furrer used to work for the company Mythic Entertainment back when they did a game called Dark Age of Camelot. He also worked with the company when they released Warhammer Online. I don't know how long he was there after that, but I know he was with the company at the time when Warhammer Online came out, and there's a lot of similarities. Like, when you play Warhammer Online and you look at ESO's design, there's a lot of things. For example, Warhammer Online has public events or public quests, which are these more of a dynamic event system, where you have these events that happen in certain locations, and you can repeat playing these things over and over and over again, and every time you do, you get rewarded. And it feels the same way here when you look at Dark Anchors, and you look at the Abyssal Geysers, and you look at the Horror Storms, and you look at all that, public event type stuff. They also have world bosses in Warhammer Online. They also have public dungeons type things in Warhammer Online. They have their PvP areas, which play a lot like Cyrodiil, where you go in and you capture certain locations, and then you capture certain buildings as well. And so it feels a lot of it, like, again, it has a lot of similarities. But that's not the only game I've played. I've also played EverQuest, both the 99 server, which is a private server, and the live server. 99 much better, no offense to the live service. The reason I say 99 is much better is because it goes off more based on the classic EQ and not on the present EQ, which is, I don't know. Like, it's gone in such a weird direction, that game. And then I played EverQuest 2, I played some Vanguard, I played some Dark Age of Camelot, I played some Ultima Online, I played World of Warcraft, which you guys saw the video of. But I've been playing all these other games, looking at, the similarities that they share with ESO when it comes to gear, like gearing, like the gearing system or gear score system that a lot of these games use. Like, even Star Wars: The Old Republic has a gear score system. And what it is when you open your character, there's a thing that tells you, like, you're capable of doing XYZ content, and a lot of that is this plays into that. It's kind of the same thing. You got this notification within your character that says, hey, I'm capable of doing content, and here's my proof, kind of thing. But it doesn't mean that you're gonna complete the content, because you're, even in those games, like I was playing World of Warcraft, joined a dungeon group as a tank on my monk, and proceeded to play through the dungeon. everything was going fine, and then all of a sudden, one of the people in the group started getting mad because I wasn't controlling aggro appropriately. And I'm like, where have I heard this before? You know, like, every MMO I've ever played, I've heard, you're not controlling aggro right, you're not tanking right. And it brings me back to ESO and ESO's structure and a lot of things with it. Sorry about this, I'm gonna have to do something here. The audio is deafening to me for some reason. But, so, what I'm getting at is, a lot of the games, a lot of games pull from other games to create that premise. We know trials in ESO are reminiscent of raids in other games. We got dungeons in ESO, which are reminiscent to other games. We got Cyrodiil, a PvP zone that's reminiscent to both Dark Age of Camelot and Warhammer. So you have a lot of these, again, these similarities. But these similarities all date back to, of course, a different era. Now, if you guys didn't know, most role-playing games were actually built off miniature wargaming. So pen and paper games were originally designed from tabletop war games like Chainmail or Warhammer, or there's a million games. Even Warcraft, World of Warcraft, is based off of a battle game, which was a derivative of Warhammer itself. So you have a lot of these games that took from these different groups and these different categories to create the online role-playing spaces. Now, a lot of you didn't know, Warhammer was originally a tabletop war game. Later became a tabletop pen and paper game. Later became an online role-playing game, just like World of Warcraft. And that's because the IP for it was good. It could do that. Just like the IP for Dungeons and Dragons has been used for... And it's not Dungeons and Dragons IP itself. It's Dungeons and Dragons structure that has carried over into so many of these games. When you look at things like character sheets, in most of these games, they share a lot of similarities to that of D&D. I mean, you can look at this and say, well, this has nothing to do with D&D, but then you look at its predecessors. Elder Scrolls Arena, Elder Scrolls Daggerfall, Elder Scrolls, even Renegade. A lot of these Elder Scrolls games shared heavy with that of Dungeons and Dragons and even Warhammer when it comes to the battle scenarios and the battle structures. I mean, Dark Age of Camelot, you could even take it as far as saying that it is a rendition of not Warhammer, but more of Chainmail, the D&D version of, battle games. And a lot of these games took from that, those elements, to create these games that we play today. The character systems, like when it comes to the stats and the attributes of our characters. But this is where ESO goes different. And I really, really emphasize this a lot because I want people to really, truly see how much ESO takes from D&D more than it does anything else. How many of you have played pen and paper D&D? Myself, I've played for 30 plus years, and even to this day still play. And one of the things that always caught me with that game was the freedom. Like, I could pick up a character, a fighter, for example, and throughout their career, change how they play. From being where they started with leather armor, a sword and shield, all the way up to when I retire them and they're using a two-handed sword with, you know, banded mail or chainmail or splint mail or whatever, or even full plate. And then I retire them, and they've gone through the rounds, is what I like to say. You know, they've gone through and experienced their journey to get to where they are. And I feel like ESO does that with pride. Like, they take from this, from this genre of fantasy role-playing, and they built on it this world that gives you this immense amount of freedom in how you play. Not only in your character, but also in the skill system, which is beyond, and I do say beyond, any game out there. Now, a lot of people try to do comparisons. Well, you got the Ajax Spear line, you got Dawn's Wraith, you got, Restoring Light. All these have different paths to them. Like, Restoring Light is the healer line. You have Dawn's Wraith, which is this, like, magic line. You have the Ajax Spear line, which is more this melee line. And when you look at it that way, that's where I think a lot of people lose the concept of what the game is truly trying to do, and what the developers are truly trying to allow, and what it is freedom to play or to express yourself the way you want with your character. I mean, if you want to be that fighter character from D&D who runs around in leather armor, uses a sword and shield, and a bow, let's say, and those are your preferred fighting, your preferred build structure to your character, you can do that. Because the game doesn't restrict on what you can and can't do. Now, a lot of people point this out to me, pointed this out to me with, like, Sword and Shield Puncture. It says right here, the role for this ability is tank. Well, that one, yes. But all the other ones do not state tank. In fact, not even the passives state they're strictly for tank. They say that it's more of a protective weapon, yes. It offers more protection than, say, two-handed or dual wield. But that's what you're doing. You're looking at your character and you're saying, how do I want my character to play in this world? How do I want them to fit in? And it's one of those things where the build structure of ESO is so dynamic and so open-ended that it just they keep expanding on it every update, the amount of stuff that you can do in the game. And it's one of the reasons why Markarth changed the game so much for a lot of us, was they started introducing the crit chance stuff, which they haven't changed still to this day. They said that critical is the crit chance itself is going to be universal, and so it's going to work for both magic and weapon. But they haven't applied that to a lot of the sets in the game. Only the newest sets in Markarth, which really confuses new players. So, not to distort the game or what the developers are trying to do, but introducing something like that and then not putting it in the game really throws the game off. It really throws players off on what are the devs trying to do with this game. Are they trying to make it a fantasy role-playing game where it's really universal and open-ended, or are they trying to keep us locked into this restricted kind of gameplay experience? And any way you look at it, it doesn't matter. What matters the most is, again, the flexibility. Like, I can take this character, and there's so many different ways I can play them, that I'm only limited by my own choices. I'm only limited on what I can and can't do based on the game's allowance. So, I mean, we look at the systems in play. We've got 300 plus systems in the game that allow for almost unlimited flexibility. And when I say unlimited flexibility, you literally have unlimited flexibility in the way you can play a character. You want to use the sword and shield and light armor, you can do that. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. Yes, light armor is geared towards magic, but so is sword and shield. And you're going, but how is that even a thing? Well, it's because of the way weapon damage works in the game. See, weapon damage applies to both. So when you look at the damage of the sword, it says 1,132. So that applies to my sword itself, the one-handed aspect, but it applies to the overall damage that I do with both magic and melee. Now, I am dual wielding, so I actually get 5% of this, or a percentage of this, added to this. That's why it's 1361 spell damage and not 1132. It's because I'm getting a part of my offhand added to my main hand as weapon damage. And then if you look here, my weapon damage is actually higher because I actually have jewelry enchants that increase my weapon damage. And my set that one of the sets I'm using actually increases my weapon damage. So I get this unique balance to my character that allows me to be flexible to a certain degree. Now, my main focus with this character is of course, melee or physical damage. It doesn't mean that I can't do magic damage, I'm just not as effective with it. And that's where, again, a lot of people misinterpret a lot of the design of this game. They're like, oh, if you're going to play a magic character, you have to build purely from magic. If you want to build a magic character, yeah, it's better to build purely from magic. Just like if you build a stamina character, it's good to build purely for stamina. But it doesn't mean all your abilities are limited to that only. Because your character is made up of multiple stats. So you actually can utilize every tool in your arsenal. Like, I can switch in my class, Dawn's Wraith, I can go and grab Solar Barrage and put it, say, we'll put it right here. Instead of having the dual wield, I'll do Solar Barrage. And it does the same thing as what my dual wield does. It does AoE damage, except it does magic damage. So it might not do as much physical damage as what my character is built for, but it doesn't mean my ability doesn't work. And this, again, brings me back to that concept of, like, hey, I've got a character who can do this. I'm using mostly stamina-based abilities, but I have some magicka-based abilities to allow me to be more flexible with my character when it comes to the damage I deal. So this way I have some AoE capabilities and some magic damage ability. I have a little bit of both, and you can see it. You can see that I actually can do both, and I still do fine. Like, I'm still capable of doing damage. Is it insane DPS? No. But it doesn't mean I can't do it, and it gives me more capabilities in my character than limiting them to one resource. So, and again, I get where people come from when people are like, oh, that doesn't really work in the dungeon scene. But in reality, it works everywhere. It works in PvE. I could play this build in PvP the way it is right now and probably destroy some people. I'm not going to say I'm going to kill everyone, but I will do pretty good against those who are running around in leather armor, who don't have as high of spell resistance unless they're playing a Breton, or they're playing somebody who has magic resistance in their stuff, because this does magic damage. And yeah, it doesn't do a lot. As you can see, 980 magic damage isn't a whole lot. But that's 980 damage that I have a 13% chance of critting with, which people are going to be like, yeah, but that's really low. But you think about it, every enemy I hit, I get that 13% chance. So in an AoE perspective, that 13% chance actually grows because now I'm hitting multiple targets, which increases my percentage chance of actually affecting someone with that crit. And I know it's weird, but that's how the game works. So, but that's what I wanted to kind of get at here. I mean, I know a lot of people are gonna be like, did you lose your mind again or something? No, I didn't lose my mind. I've been off doing other things, so when I come back to this game and I start talking about it, I have reason to really dive into these, these builds that I make and say, hey, this is what I can do. Like, I can show you how you can take a character and you can use all these different abilities and make this really cool character that plays the way you want it to. And it doesn't restrict you. But that's pretty much it. I mean, there's a lot you can do in ESO that, there's so much diversity in this game, it's not even funny. and that's why I love it so much. So, but that's pretty much it for the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's been a while again since I've done anything, and I do apologize, but I am getting back into doing more videos. I will be bringing builds soon, along with guides. I did promise those. I'm not holding off on them. Just, real life, personal stuff, all that, put that aside. This is my job. So I really want to get back to focusing on that and bringing you guys the content that you want, along with the content I want to do. So, but that's pretty much it. As always, you guys know what's coming next. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you guys want to see more videos by me, you can subscribe. Other than that, I want to thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and this guy might see you in game. Bye.